Welcome back to Bite-Size Colts, brought to you by Bite-Size Sports. I am Kev, and today we are here to not only celebrate a Week 2 victory, but go ahead and preview this Week 3 matchup against the Baltimore Ravens. So without further ado, let's get going. So Colts win, of course, against the Texans. It started out looking great. Started out looking like exactly the kind of win you would want to see. Colts get up early. Anthony Richardson has 2 rushing touchdowns. Then he goes out, concussion protocol, walking on his own. He did come in after getting the concussion and was smart enough to, when rolling to his left, avoid a sack by throwing it away with his left hand. So I think big picture, long term, I think he's fine. It does seem like the Colts are being extra cautious here, which after the whole Jonathan Taylor situation and plenty of previous situations like this in not only the NFL but in other major sports, it's always a smart thing to do. Give him more time, let him rest up. But that meant that Gardner Minshew had to come in and take care of business, which he did. 19 of 23. My favorite part about this is that the offense appeared to still be the same offense. And now, I mentioned this last night in the Horseshoe Pride podcast. Go check us out right here on YouTube at Horseshoe Pride or on the Pro Sports Fans app. We are looking to acknowledge our first 10 super fans over there. So if you're interested in being a mod for those live streams and just talking Colts during the game and a couple times a week, go ahead and check us out on the PSF app, or you can find them on Twitter at PSF_app, or just follow me on Twitter at KevNevick_, and I'll let you know the next time we are live. But as I was saying, what I was saying last night was that both Gardner Minshew and Shane Steichen are prepared for this because Gardner Minshew has backed up Jalen Hurts before in a Shane Steichen-led offense. So I was not surprised to see Minshew come in, run the same offense, but with a different style. I was hoping that would be the case. It was still refreshing and a little bit exciting to see it work out that way. So 19 of 23, like we said, for Minshew. He's going to be accurate. Now, we'll see how that goes for week 3, but we're not there yet. We'll talk about week 3. But in week 2, he was connecting with his receivers. He was making good reads, getting the ball out quickly, exactly what he needs to be doing. We also had Zach Moss, heavy doses of Zach Moss in week 2. Not surprising after Deion Jackson had a very bad week 1. Evan Hull is now out for the season. Unfortunately, that's a terrible break for the Colts, but not surprised to see Zach Moss get the bulk of the carries, but I was surprised to see him get 98% of the snaps at running back. So the Colts are seemingly fully committed to Zach Moss until we get Jonathan Taylor back. So knock on wood, cross your fingers, whatever you got to do. We need JT back. We will talk briefly about the AR injury. Let's do this. Actually, here we missed the Moss this, Moss that. So, yeah, Zach Moss. I think we're going to see another heavy dose of him in week 3, but we will talk about that in the preview. Back to the AR injury. This will be a little bit of a merging of the two topics here. AR is at this point out. It's going to be Minshew mania again for week 3. But I, as I previously mentioned, I like what the Colts are doing here, playing it safe. It's very unfortunate that we won't see Lamar Jackson take on Anthony Richardson. But when you throw in all the weather that's going on, not a terrible game for AR to be missing as far as the team goes, as far as both this season and just the long-term future of the franchise. It is the right decision. So as bummed as we are that we won't get to see Anthony Richardson, we can be hyped at A, how good he looked before he came out with the 2 rushing touchdowns, B, how good Shane Steichen seems to have gotten at dialing up plays that will play to Anthony Richardson's strengths. So very happy with what I'm seeing from that. And now we'll have to see how the Colts can put it together in a week without him. So sticking with the Texans recap here, the defense looked okay. Of course, the front four has looked great. Buckner, Grover Stewart in particular has been phenomenal, just being incredibly disruptive, penetrating through the line on run plays and allowing his teammates to clean it up and make the tackles. So speaking of tackles, Zaire Franklin has been phenomenal, leads the league in tackles. He was very close to leading the league in tackles last year, mind you. It gets focused because what he did do was set a franchise record. So a lot of times that's what the Colts social media and content creators will stick to that. But he was only a couple of tackles outside of the league lead at the end of the year. And for much of the season, he was the league leader in tackles. So he seems to be keeping pace. We'll see if he ends up getting drug tested again on Monday after what I imagine is going to be one hell of a performance from Franklin. It's going to need to be, but I think he's up for it. The DBs are bad. Unfortunately, we have not seen Juju Brents yet, so apparently he's not ready, which frightens me because I'd see what the Colts' current coaching staff has deemed as ready, and that's not looking great. Darrell Baker Jr. struggles mightily right now. Nico Collins looked like Randy Moss out there stat-wise. So week one, it was Calvin Ridley eating. Week two, it was Nico Collins eating. So we shall see. CJ Stroud, there's been a bunch of debate there, back and forth. Some people saying it was just garbage time, which is to extent partially true. And it was very frustrating to watch the Colts defense in the fourth quarter. It felt like they had opened up the umbrella and that they were in the prevent defense. But in reality, they weren't technically calling prevent until I think the final 4 minutes of the game or something. But it felt like they had softened up mightily. And I think there was maybe one drive in the fourth quarter early on where the Colts defense was aggressive. They stayed blitzing and even brought a DB blitz, which is what we were calling for during the game stream. All right, we've got a big lead now. Let's do some things we don't normally do. Let's send some corner blitz. Let's send a safety blitz. Let's test these young corners out, put them in a situation we might need to put them into in a close game, in a meaningful game down the road. It might not even be this year, it might be next year. But, hey, it's very rarely this season, in my opinion, will the Colts be in a position like that where they're up 3 scores and can stay aggressive while taking some chances to kind of see what they got at game speed in a real game time situation. So would like to see more of that if they do wind up in a position where they have a lead again, or hell, even if they're down big. There might be a couple games this year that get out of hand for Colts faithful. That's all right. So the defense played okay. I want to give them credit for shutting down the run. However, the Colts got up early they got a 2-score lead very early. And in week one, the Texans handed the ball to Dameon Pierce 11 times. So I don't know how much of it is the run defense from the Colts being stout, and how much of it is that the Texans have a horrible offensive line that's currently held together with Scotch tape. They've got, I think, second and third string D linemen in there right now due to injuries. And the play calling. So not only is the front line beat up, but they're not calling a lot of run plays. So, some of my other colleagues here in the Colts content center, I had to keep that alliteration rolling, believe that this Colts run defense is good. Maybe someone call it great. I'll give you good. I'll give you that it's good run defense for now, but I saw Travis Etienne on several occasions in week one kind of just run right up the middle, right up the heart of that defense, and even bounce off a couple tacklers. So I'm not ready to crown the Colts defense a great run defense yet, but they are very solid up front. They're averaging 4 sacks a game. More importantly, last week, gave up 0 sacks. So when you sack the quarterback 6 times and give up 0, you're doing something right. And for a team that couldn't protect the quarterback to save its life last year, for them to have sort of flipped this script to where now the Colts, after 2 games, seem to be the team controlling the line of scrimmage. I mean, that's a great place to be for them. So we're very excited in Colts Nation about the future. We're seeing a team, this, looks a little bit more like the team we expected last year. You got a lot of the same players, a little younger now, missing some good players, certainly, but the offense seems better, and the games are at least more exciting as the Colts stay in them. So as we go into the preview for this upcoming week, let's talk about some things. Tight end number 1. Who's it going to be? We've got Kylan Granson, who took a great Photoshop, great photo set, I guess. I don't know. He didn't get to celebrate his first career touchdown, so a little photo shoot. He and his significant other, I don't know if it's his wife or his fiance, took some photos of, like baby's first photos with the football as the infant. So go check that out if you haven't seen it. It's hilarious. But we got Granson, we got Ogletree, we've got Mallory sitting there, and then, of course, Mo Alley Cox. So 4 tight ends. Possibility you could see all 4 of them in action here next week. Who will be the guy, though? Who's going to step up? Right now, it looks like Granson to me, with Mallory coming in at a close second. I think Mo Alley's time near the top of this depth chart might be over, because Ogletree also looked good in week 1 before his concussion. So we will see how that goes. But right now, I am leaning Granson. So let's do it. Let's look at the next week, this upcoming game, Minshew Mania. I made a tweet the other day. It was your typical Spider-Man pointing at each other, although this time they were all bandaged up and rocking crutches. And that is my official preview of the Colts-Ravens game this week. Both teams are banged up. Neither team has everyone in, and they're both missing significant players. The Ravens, I think, are more beat up than the Colts, for what it's worth. You give them credit. I think they have a bigger hill to climb. Although the Colts are missing AR, they're missing Kelly. So we're going to have that French fries front line, offensive line today. So get your ketchup ready. Marlon Humphrey's out for the Ravens. Of course, J.K. Dobbins is out for the year. They are missing some O-linemen. There's about 8 or 9 people on their injury report today. So they're missing some couple of key defensive players. They're missing people on their O-line. They're missing their number 1 running back. Odell Beckham might not play. So the Ravens are more banged up than the Colts. And then we have this whole tropical storm situation that's going to blast the East Coast and is supposedly going to impact 3 games on Sunday. And as I said last night in the Horseshoe Pride podcast, I believe that bad weather games tend to kind of equal things out. It sort of, in my opinion, levels the playing field. Just in Colts history, we've seen games that maybe we should have lost playing against better teams in bad weather situations, and flip that script. There are games that we absolutely should have won in the past playing against some bad teams where the weather, whether it be snow or rain, I'm sure you all have some of your own memories going through here where you're like, yeah, I've seen that. So let me know in the comments if you disagree, if you think that the bad weather gives an advantage to the better team, because it's not that we've never seen that before either. Do you remember that Patriots-Titans game way back in the day? It was a snow game. I think Brady and Moss dropped like 50 on Kerry Collins' head. It was on Kerry Collins. He wasn't playing defense, but you get what I'm saying. It was a rough one. So, there's some precedent to the opposite, but in my opinion, I think, everybody's got to struggle with their footing. Everybody's got to slip. Everybody's got to hold on to the football. It gives more opportunities for interceptions, fumbles, other types of turnovers, which in my opinion, makes it more likely that the Colts could steal this one from Baltimore. However, despite my love for Minshew Mania and for Zaire Franklin, who's just a dog, who's probably going to have 35 tackles on Sunday and then get drug tested on Monday, I can't get over these dubious defensive backs that we have. Now, I'm sure they're all great guys, so please don't misread the label there. But our defensive backfield play, let's say, has been dubious at best. And when you have a guy like Lamar Jackson who can break, contain, extend plays, that is where this whole good weather, bad weather, that does start to, in those scenarios, the pendulum swings back to Baltimore because they, with the more time and with the bad weather, just gives them more time to get open against a defensive backfield that has a hard time covering anybody right now. And it's because of that I do, unfortunately, folks, I do have the Ravens winning this one. I've got it as a 16-14 snooze fest. There's going to be a surprising amount of touchdowns, in my opinion. I think that was the feedback I got last night the most, was people were shocked. I thought the Colts would score 2 touchdowns. One of those might be defensive. Let's not forget that. But this team had 2 offensive touchdowns in the first quarter last week. This is not Frank Reich's Colts. Go check out that Panthers press conference if you're looking for a Vietnam-esque flashback. You can hear him say things like, we're not that far. Next week it'll be, we're chopping wood and climbing mountains. But these are not those times. Those days are gone, Colts faithful. We don't have to worry about that. I think we will put some points on the board, but I am cautiously pessimistic here. It's a great opportunity for the Colts to steal a win against a team that, frankly, is better than the Colts, in my opinion. But with our starter being out, us having Minshew in there, I think the Ravens are going to have just enough to win this one. But let me know, folks, what you think at home. I'd love to hear from you. Leave a comment. Please like and subscribe, share, all that good stuff. It really helps the channel. If you have a friend or family member who is a Steelers fan, a Titans fan, or a Vikings fan, please go ahead and share this channel with them, because those guys upload even more frequently than I do. I think they do 2 episodes a week. If you have a Bears fan in your family, I'm so sorry. I feel you. You can reach out to me. You can DM me on Twitter. We can help each other. I have multiple family members that are Bears fans, so I feel your pain. But we also have a Bears podcast as well, so you can misery loves company, they say. So you can join our dear friend and wonderful correspondent Nate checking out the Chicago Bears each week. Other than that, you can come see us on Tuesday at 9 p.m. Eastern for Necessary Roughness. That is our NFL wholly encapsulated show. That's John, Nick, Keebler, Michael. We got all the guys. Sometimes Nate's there. Sometimes I'm there. Sometimes James is there, of Bite-Size Titans fame. Necessary Roughness. That's where you go to get all of our NFL programming. And, of course, if you're looking for some fantasy help, we've got you on Wednesday and Friday nights. Wednesday night, another damn fantasy podcast with Trevor and Dan. And then Trevor double dips, and on Friday nights, he helps you with your daily fantasy lineup, some DFS specials for the weekend over on Rumbles of Red. And now the new podcast to Mondays is Sportsbook Junkies, hosted by Keebler, with special guest myself and also Nate. Now, I believe Nate is going to be the official co-host for Keebler in Sportsbook Junkies, and Nate is the parlay goat. Here's a guy who has cashed in some whoppers on the parlay front. He also is a solid NASCAR bettor, so if you're looking for a different niche to crack into, Keebler's going to have you covered on the NFL, the Major League Baseball, and NBA. Now, of course, Nate also bets on the NFL and the NBA, but he's going to open up a whole new world to you, all right? Like your Princess Jasmine, all right? He's going to just shining, shimmering sportsbook splendor, guys. And not to be forgotten, just got to save the baldest for last, every Thursday night at 9 p.m. Eastern. Check out me and James and Keebler on the bounce Thursday nights at 9, where we would talk NBA, NCAA basketball, FIBA, maybe some Big Three, anything that happens in the world of hoops, that hardwood or sometimes blacktop world. We will be covering it Thursday nights at 9 right here on Bite-Size Sports. Be sure you're subscribed. Go check out my friends over at Carnage Media, where we have some future UFC fighters and their previous fight highlights, main event interviews for the upcoming Carnage Fight Series 3. You won't want to miss that. It was an absolute white-knuckle thrill ride, that interview with the real Street Jesus. Look him up. So anyway, thank you so much for staying here till the end, especially listening to me just basically read ads to you for the last 2 minutes. I greatly appreciate it. Again, if you want to hang out with me live during Colts games, go find me on the Pro Sports Fans app. We will be in the Horseshoe Pride chat, but we will also be in the Colts Fans chat. Until next time, I have been Kev. You have been phenomenal, and we will see you in week 4. Yeah, we'll see you then.